So here we go. This was actually going to be a video about a video. I was going to show you a video and discuss about, do people actually want a purge in the USA? And then it became something else. So first of all, let me show you the video that I was talking about, and we can discuss it from there.
Hours. Blessed be our new founding fathers.
Okay, so obviously the video shows the Proud Boys in some random city in America, and someone's decided to put the music, or the soundtrack if you will, to the Purge on top of it. Now my original question was, do you want the Purge? Is that what you're saying? You think the Purge is a good idea? Does anybody think the Purge is a good idea? Not to mention the fact that it was just a movie, horror movie, relatively good horror movie if you like that sort of thing. But it was also satire. It was supposed to be pointing out the stupidity of the Purge. Yet some people seem to have taken that rather seriously, too seriously. But anyway, moving on from that, because if you think the Purge is a good idea, drop a line, drop something in the comments, and we can discuss that later. Because who thinks the Purge is a good idea? Legally killing people for 12 hours once a year. Anyway, as I say, moving on from that, because of that video, I did some research. I thought, who are the Proud Boys? Because at the end of the day, we're in the UK and we hear the word Proud Boys bandied around the media and again, and obviously Donald Trump's mentioned it once or twice in his tweets and in a speech. The Proud Boys stand back and stand by and all that, but we don't really know who they are. So I thought I'd do some research. Now, I do have some notes, so I'm going to refer to a couple of notes. The Southern Poverty Law Centre call them an alt-white fight club, because that's what they are. Well, are they? I mean, first of all, foremost, if you try and find the Proud Boys website, its actual website, don't use Google. I went through 4 or 5 pages and still couldn't find their website, even if I put the Proud Boys website into the browser. Now, if you use a non-tracking website like DuckDuckGo, you can eventually find it. And so I read their manifesto. Well, it's not really a manifesto. They call it their tenets, which is more of a religious iconography than anything else. But it's just a list. There's no explanations. There's nothing detailed about it. Anti-war on drugs, anti-this, anti-that, anti-racism, funny enough. But basically, they're a boys' club. They're a misogynistic boys' club. You're not allowed to join this club if you're female. If you want to be a member or associated with the Proud Boys, you have to join the Proud Boys girls. They even have t-shirts, look. But they have lots of t-shirts and quite a lot of merchandising. They did have one at one point. Now I'm told it was on a shop, but it's not there anymore, and you can't find it anywhere, which is a good thing. Which had their eagle with 6MWE on it. Now, if you're not aware, 6MWE is 6 million weren't enough, referring to the Holocaust. Now, that's an abysmal thing to have on a t-shirt. It's an abysmal thing to say and even think. But they are, or some of them at least, are Holocaust deniers, or at least anti-Semitic. It has to be said, they do like their t-shirts. There's also t-shirts. If you go on their website, there are a lot of t-shirts. What is it? FAFO. Fuck around and find out, apparently, is what it means. It's an overt threat, if you're asking me. And then, of course, there's the kill your local paedophile. Now, that in itself is a little bit over the top, because how do you know he's a paedophile? He's on the sex offenders register. Doesn't actually make him a paedophile in this day and age, because people misuse the word so much. You could just be killing the wrong person. And this is the thing that the Proud Boys are promoting on a daily basis. It's there, out loud. Violence for violence sake almost. Calling them a fight club isn't actually that wrong. Why do people join groups like this? Do they just want to go out and fight? Why don't they join a boxing club instead? That would probably be better. At least there'll be some rules and regulations. All they see is the left as the enemy. And anybody that's against them is the left. So So they're a worrying group. They promote and use violence as a core tactic. Violence in this day and age. Can we not just talk anymore? And they wave their guns in the air, being proud of their weaponry because of their Second Amendment rights. Their First Amendment rights to free speech, which is what sort of creates this in the first place. The ADL call them overly Islamophobic, misogynistic, transphobic and anti-immigration. You see, the problem I have here, and doing all my research, is it seems to me like they're similar to another group. Now, a lot of people say, oh, they're like the Ku Klux Klan because they're a white supremacy group. Well, I suppose they are white supremacy, but not entirely white supremacy. Funny enough, they're not actually homophobic. So they say. Gay rights? Okay, within the principles of the Christian foundations that they have and within their right-wing conservative, their alt-right, if you will. But there's more to it than that. I mean, they actually have rights for housewives on their tenants, which is a little bit old, shall we say. And the Proud Boys seem to want to drag us back to the 18th century. Women have rights. Women should be free to do what they want. They should not be tied to the kitchen. Now, looking into it, and all my research and everything else, it seems to me that they have a similar outlook as another organisation, but one which they probably would be terrified to acknowledge. And terrified is funny because I've often wondered why people are phobic about things, transphobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, because phobia is fear. It's not a hatred, it's a fear. And boy, would the Proud Boys be scared of this comparison. And probably rightly so. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So a lot of it's a matter of perspective. Would I call the Proud Boys terrorists? Probably. They wave their guns, they shout, they fight. They do a lot of things that terrorists do. They try and rule by fear. And that's basically what terrorism is. So what's this other organisation I keep mentioning that they, to me at least, they seem very similar to? It's not the Ku Klux Klan. It's not Britain First. They're not really an organisation. No. I think the Proud Boys are more like ISIS in the Middle East. They subjugate their women in the same way. They're anti-drugs. They are homophobic. They're certainly transphobic, because that's what Islam is. They're radical. They're radical Islamists in the same way that Proud Boys seem to be radical Christians. Or at least radical men. But ISIS is misogynistic. The women should be in the kitchen, looking after the men. The same way the Proud Boys talk about it. So if you're out there and you're thinking of joining something like the Proud Boys, but you hate Islam and ISIS, maybe you should look a little deeper into what you're joining. Because their aims are not dissimilar. They want the country for themselves and they want women in their place. Sounds familiar to me, but who am I? I'm just an average man in an average street going about his business on a day-to-day, hoping that human rights are everybody's rights and we can all live in peace and harmony. Some might think that's a bit of a leftist point of view, but to me it's in the middle somewhere. We should be able to, in the 21st century, look after each other. Nobody should be left on the margins of society. Nobody should be poor and living on the streets. In the UK we have the National Health Service, which is free at the point of use, so everybody should be able to access free medical care. I know that's not the same in America, the supposed greatest country in the world, not free healthcare. And people argue about it all the time. Can't we be nice to each other for a change? All these groups, the Proud Boys, ISIS, all the terrorist groups, all the extremist groups, the far right and the far left, they're in it for themselves. We should be in it for each other. It's the 21st century, 2021 for God's sake. We spent the last 9 months in lockdown or in fear of a pandemic. And all we're doing is screaming and shouting at each other when we should be nice to each other. Wearing a mask, for instance, it's not a political statement. It's not an infringement of your freedoms, of your rights. It's being nice to one another. Stop spreading the disease around. Stay indoors. I know it's horrible. I've been stuck in my house for virtually 9 months. But it's the best thing to do. And when the vaccine is out, don't poo-poo it. Don't say it can't be safe because it's been so quick. It's been quick because the world needed it to be quick. And it's as safe as it can be. Nothing is 100% safe. But hey, walk into a crowd of Proud Boys, it's definitely not safe. Whether you're them or whether you're somebody else. Because they're a fight club. Well, anyway. It's time to go now. So, if you like what I say, or if you didn't, the comments are open. Please feel free to say what you want in the comments. Not necessarily going to answer everybody. And if you start calling names, I will just block you. I'm not interested in arguing. If you're calling me a moron or whatever, not interested. Genuine debate is what we're willing to have here. Genuine debate. If you liked it, subscribe, hit the notification button, get that dingy dongy bell going, and I'll see you next time. Anyway, that's just a thought. See ya.